I'm Amy Yensi with the New York 1 Minute. Another violent weekend in the city. In Manhattan, a 15-year-old is fighting for his life after being shot multiple times. Police say he got into a dispute with two other teenagers before the shots rang out. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, 3 people were killed in 2 separate shootings. 4 others were hurt. A suspect in one of the incidents is in custody. The executive assistant who has accused Governor Cuomo of sexually harassing and groping her speaks out publicly for the first time. Brittany Camiso has filed a criminal complaint, and it's being investigated by the Albany County Sheriff. For the first time since the pandemic, Manhattan's Javits Center reopens for trade shows. It hosted the New York International Gift Fair and Jewelry Show Sunday. And the Tokyo Olympic Games comes to a close, ending on a high note for Team USA as it passes China to take home the most gold medals. Today's top stories are coming up, but first, a quick check at your forecast. Any early showers or storms will come to an end for tonight, but skies will still feature plenty of clouds. It'll be warm and humid too, with lows only in the low 70s. Taking a look at the week ahead, the big story will be a potential heat wave arriving for midweek with highs soaring into the 90s. We'll also see a chance for storms as well. Your next weather check comes in 10 minutes. A teenage boy is fighting for his life after being shot in the Inwood section of Manhattan Saturday night. This Citizen app video shows the scene at West 204th Street near Broadway around 9 o'clock. Investigators say the 15-year-old boy got into a dispute with 2 other teens before shots rang out. He was shot multiple times in the chest, leg, and arm, and then taken to St. Barnabas Hospital in critical condition. Police are looking for 2 boys between the ages of 15 and 20. Who were both dressed in black in connection with this shooting. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, a suspect is in custody after allegedly fatally shooting one person and injuring another. It happened just before midnight Saturday on Pennsylvania Avenue near Riverdale Avenue in East New York. When police arrived, they found a 25-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman, both with gunshot wounds to the chest. They were both brought to the hospital where the man was pronounced dead. The woman is now in stable condition. Police have arrested a 22-year-old man in connection with the shooting. Officers say there had been some kind of dispute. A gun was also recovered from the scene. And in the same neighborhood, 2 people were killed and 3 others injured in a separate shooting around the same time. It happened on Georgia Avenue near Wortman Avenue. 2 36-year-old men were found with gunshot wounds and taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. A 51-year-old man and a 32-year-old man were also shot multiple times. They are in critical condition. And a 37-year-old man was shot in the shoulder. He's expected to be okay. Witnesses at the scene described the chaos that unfolded.
I heard it was a party there, and then I was too far. I had a gunshot. And after hitting those gunshots, and then I was going somewhere. Run. That's all I heard. Running somewhere.
Right now, police are still investigating. The Cuomo aide who says the governor groped her at the executive mansion speaks publicly for the first time. Brittany Camiso did an interview with the Times Union and CBS this morning that will air on Monday. She had previously been identified as Executive Assistant 1 in the State Attorney General report. It found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women and violated federal and state laws. Camiso is the first accuser to file a criminal complaint against the governor. The Albany Sheriff's Department is launching an investigation that could lead to a misdemeanor charge against Cuomo. Here's what Camiso said.
Why did you file that criminal complaint with the sheriff's office?
That's just a preview of the interview. The governor has denied the accusations, and his lawyers have attempted to discredit Camiso. On Friday, the attorneys provided a timeline they claim proves the assault could not have happened on the day she claimed. However, Camiso said she can't be sure of the date in which the alleged misconduct occurred. Speaking of impeachment, New York 1 political reporter Courtney Gross takes a look at how that process could play out.
Impeachment is
a new feature on Yelp's application allows you to figure out if a restaurant staff is fully vaccinated and if you can go at all without proof of vaccination. Our Ron Lee joins us from Jackson Heights with this story. So Ron, tell us how this works.
Hey, this from Queens. Ron Lee, New York 1. Amy.
Very helpful info. Thanks, Ron. For the first time since the pandemic, Manhattan's Javits Center reopens for trade shows Sunday. The convention center previously served as a COVID hospital and then a mass vaccination center. It opens today with the New York International Gift Fair and a jewelry show. Due to COVID concerns, the show's attendance has some limits and masks are required, but business owners and attendees are still able to enjoy the show.
The energy's great.
The Javits Center is expected to host New York Comic Con in October, an event that usually draws hundreds of thousands of fans. Organizers say they're waiting on guidance from the city about vaccine requirements. The start of the school year is about 5 weeks away, but many parents say their big questions about the return to the classroom remain unanswered. New York One education reporter Jillian Jorgensen explains. A water main break causes flooding in parts of Penn Station. It happened Saturday night around 10 p.m. You can see water rushing through the hallways of the subway station. The call brought a number of firefighters and repair crews to Penn Station to fix the problem. The station's water mains were shut down in response. A hit and run in Washington Heights leaves 4 people hospitalized, including 2 children. It happened around 9:30 Saturday night. Investigators say a gray sedan was driving on Audubon Avenue near West 183rd Street when it struck 4 pedestrians and then sped off. Among the victims are a 26-year-old woman who's in critical condition with head trauma and a 28-year-old woman who suffered a fractured leg. She is expected to be okay. 2 children, 8 and 9-year-old boys, were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. No arrests have been made. An investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 1-800-577-TIPS, and you don't have to leave your name. More people died in traffic incidents last year despite driving fewer miles. The primary cause? Speeding. New data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reveals there were more than 38,000 traffic deaths in 2020, a 7% increase to make it the deadliest year on highways since 2007. Other contributing factors include more people driving under the influence, a slight drop in seatbelt use, and people putting more faith in their cars' safety measures. Stay up to date on all of the latest stories throughout the day, plus weather and more. It's all available with the Spectrum News app. Go to spectrumnewsapp.com to learn more and download now. A new show turns the spotlight on teachers. This new series is called Mr. Corman, and it gives a heartfelt focus on teaching. Our George Ripple talks to the stars of this Apple TV series. That's all for this half hour of news. Stay with us for the latest on your top stories and your weather on the ones in our next half hour. Recently acquired first baseman Anthony Rizzo becomes the latest Yankee to go on the COVID/injured list. He's now the 4th Yankee currently on the list, along with Garrett Cole, Jordan Montgomery, and Gary Sanchez, and the 10th member of the team since July. And more bad news for the Bombers as they saw their 5-game winning streak snapped. The Mariners win 2-0 with both runs scoring in the top of the 8th inning. New York is now 6.5 games out of first. They now go to Kansas City for 3 games starting Monday, with Jameson Taillon starting the opener. The Phillies, meanwhile, finish off a sweep of the Mets in Philadelphia. The Phils scored all their runs on solo homers off Mets starter Taijuan Walker, including 2 in the first inning. Meanwhile, ex-Met Zach Wheeler pitched a complete game, a 2-hit shutout while striking out 11. Final score is 3-0. The Mets have now lost 4 in a row and 7 of their last 8 and have dropped into 3rd place, 2.5 games out of the first. They now come back home for a 3-game series against Washington starting Tuesday. The U.S. ends the Olympics on a high note, winning 3 events to pass China for the most gold medals. The women's basketball team beat Japan 90-75 to win their 7th consecutive gold, which ties a record set by the men's basketball team back in 1968. Diana Taurasi and Long Island native Sue Bird won their 5th record, 5th gold medal each. And Queens native and former Liberty star Tina Charles won her 3rd. The women's volleyball team won their 1st ever gold medal, beating Brazil in straight sets. And Jennifer Valenti becomes the first American woman to win a gold medal in cycling. Those results gave Team USA the most golds with 39, one more than China. The U.S. also dominated the overall medal count with 113. It's the 7th consecutive Summer Olympics in which the U.S. has won the most medals. And then all that was left was the closing ceremonies. 35-year-old javelin thrower Kara Winger carried the flag for the U.S. The Winter Games are up next in February in Beijing. The next Summer Games are in Paris in 2024. And of course, these Olympic Games were certainly unusual with strict virus protocols and no spectators allowed. The total number of COVID-19 cases associated with the Games is now 436. According to organizers, there were 27 new cases recorded Sunday. None involved any athletes, though. The new infections were among contractors, members of the media, volunteers, and game-related personnel. Meanwhile, Tokyo has tallied over 4,000 new cases for the 4th consecutive day. The city has been under a state of emergency since mid-July, and 4 other areas of the country have since been added. But the shorter business hours and ban on alcohol for restaurants and bars have been increasingly ignored by the Japanese people. That's all for this half hour of news. Stay with us for the latest on your top stories and your weather on the ones in our next half hour. Pretty soon, new rules will require New Yorkers to show proof of vaccination before entering indoor places like restaurants and gyms. That's getting mixed reviews. Our Lindsay Tuckman went to one gym where the practice isn't all that different from what their members have already been doing. While the city will soon require vaccines for many indoor activities, the battle over whether to impose vaccine mandates is well underway across the country. And those in favor include the president of the country's second largest teachers union. The annual Dominican Day Parade returns to Midtown. The parade this year was a hybrid celebration. Some of it took place virtually, some didn't. But there were also a small number of floats and participants and a series of musical presentations on 6th Avenue between 43rd and 52nd Streets. Parade goers say they were thrilled to be there.
I'm super excited.
The parade was canceled last year due to the pandemic. This year's motto was appropriately forward. Governor Cuomo's longtime secretary, Melissa DeRosa, has resigned. This comes just as one of the 11 women who accused him of sexual harassment breaks her silence. Brittany Camiso has filed a criminal complaint. It's being investigated by the Albany County Sheriff. Another violent weekend in the city. In Manhattan, a 15-year-old is fighting for his life after being shot multiple times. Police say he got into a dispute with 2 other teenagers before the shots rang out. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, 3 people were killed in 2 separate shootings. 4 others were hurt. A suspect in one of the incidents is in custody. For the first time since the pandemic, Manhattan's Javits Center reopens for trade shows. And the Tokyo Olympic Games come to a close, ending on a high note for Team USA as it passes China to take home the most gold medals. Today's top stories are coming up, but first, a quick check at your forecast. New York One has learned that Governor Cuomo's longtime secretary, Melissa DeRosa, has resigned. This comes just as one of the 11 women who accused him of sexual harassment breaks her silence. Our Zach Fink joins us with the story. Zach?
Amy, that's right. Melissa DeRosa telling us there he is officially removed as governor. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on this over the next few days. Amy, back to you.
So, Zach, what's next? Is this the tipping point? Will Cuomo resign after this? What do you think?
You know, it's tough to say exactly, Amy. I mean, just multiple Democrats are calling on the governor to resign. In her circle, things are crumbling, Amy.
Thank you, Zach, for that update. Today's top stories are coming up, but first, a quick check at your forecast. Any early showers or storms will come to an end for tonight, but skies will still feature plenty of clouds. New York One has learned that Governor Cuomo's longtime secretary, Melissa DeRosa, has resigned. This comes just as one of the 11 women who accused him of sexual harassment breaks her silence. Our Zach Fink joins us with the story. Zach?
Amy, that's right. Melissa DeRosa, who serves as secretary to Governor Cuomo, she's been in that position since 2017, has tendered her resignation this evening within the next few weeks. Amy, back to you.
So, Zach, DeRosa had a big role in the state council when it comes to dealing with women and girls. Can you talk a little bit about how that role may be in conflict with the allegations against Cuomo?
Well, that's right. She was the first woman to serve as secretary to the governor. Again, it is a very powerful position. The first woman in New York State history to do that. DeRosa herself became a target, Amy.
Zach, thanks so much for the update. And of course, New York One will continue to follow every development in this story. The Cuomo aide who says the